So why is synchronization so important with automated functional software testing? Well, the reason is because we are writing code that actually tests the code. So our code needs to literally mimic the functionality of the application. And so if it doesn't do a good job of mimicking the functionality of the application, this can lead to a lot of weird situations that occur with your code. Some of these situations are problems with your synchronization throughout the test can lead to three problems: intermittent test failures, false positives and negatives, and slow test execution. So, did you guys see how when we were debugging our code locally on our computer and we were stepping through it, everything worked, right? But then when we ran it in the CI environment, it did not work and it failed because the test was too fast for the application. And so what it can do when your synchronization is not up to par is you can have these intermittent test failures where the developer takes the code and says, oh, by the way, this works on my VM, therefore I don't know why it's failing in CI environment, right? You've seen a lot of bugs like that. And you can have the same type of bugs with your automated functional testing code, where you can be like, I don't understand why this test is failing when I step through it on my VM. It completely works all the time, so I'm completely clueless as to why it's not working. Well, if it's not working in the CI and it's working on your VM, one of the reasons is that your synchronization may be off. The other thing that improper synchronization does is it leads to false positives and negatives, right? Talking about the intermittent test failures, you get false positive results saying that, oh, the test failed, right? But the test is not really failing because the functionality is broken. The test is failing because your test is either too fast or too slow for the application. And the too slow part is where you may have actually negative outcomes from your test cases, right? Because your test, right, it fails intermittently, and therefore sometimes the results of when it fails are not correct, right? It may fail or it may not, because depending on your synchronization, and sometimes the element loads faster, sometimes the element loads slower, and that can lead to improper results. And so therefore you can't trust your test, whether it's passing or failing, which is actually one of the worst things that can happen, is when the entire team or even you lose the trust in your tests. When you stop trusting your tests, that's when all things go really south, and you need to be able to trust your tests, and you need to make sure that they're extremely solid, and having proper synchronization is one way to do that. The final problem that can occur with bad synchronization strategies is slow test execution, and this mainly refers to when you use improper synchronization techniques. What's going to happen is your test is going to run way too slow, right? Your application under test is going to be running much faster than your actual code. And so you may not be acting like the end user with your functional test. What you may be doing is just waiting too long at every single step and wasting a lot of valuable time. Not only does this waste time in the CI environment where all of your tests are running and it's taking multiple hours to run your tests when they could be run much faster, it's also costing you time when you're trying to debug these tests and they're running for way too long. All of those minutes quickly add up, leading to an inefficient process and maybe frustration not only from you, but even from all of your teammates and management, because there's a lot of time being wasted on automated functional testing. So, to handle all of these synchronization techniques appropriately, we need to learn a few strategies.